you might be thinking that I'm just going through, that I'm just, being trendy because veganism is trendy right now. But I don't think so, because I really do care about this topic, and I think that this is going to be something I'll be doing for a long time. But let's say I were going through a phase. I was going through a phase. This phase would be doing a lot of change each day, because each day a person goes vegan, they save 1,100 gallons of water, 40 pounds of grain, and 30 square feet of forested land, as well as 20 pounds of carbon dioxide, which is a catalyst for global warming and climate change. But they also save an animal's life, which is great. Yeah. So you might also be thinking that I'm some sort of hippie or an angry vegan because I'm talking about it. Because veganism, the word veganism has so many different connotations, and a lot of people think that a person that is vegan follows these kind of stereotypes. And it's kind of difficult to be a teenager who wants to be an advocate for veganism, since people only think that you are like these two pictures, that you symbolize an angry person or a hippie. And so what do you do if you want to be an advocate? What do you do if people don't want to listen to you because of your age? You're too young for people to actually want to listen, and your thoughts are too provocative to be listened to and to be heard. And I think it's very difficult, because I recently went vegan. I've been vegan for like 6 months, and I find that a lot of people instantly rewrite their image of you in their minds when they hear the word vegan. So, in order to help that, in order to help myself and other teen vegans, I decided to create a little group, just, to raise awareness for veganism. And I call myself Seedlings, and like I said, we are just like seeds, and we're ready to be planted once we know the right things. And I'm still going through high school, and so it's very difficult to stand out, because everyone wants to be like the mainstream. No one wants to stand out, because that raises a lot of questions, and if you can't answer questions, then you can't, advocate for what you believe in. And yeah, so that's a difficult part of it. And so I thought that if someone took a stand and did something, then these things might become easier to do. And a lot of people might think that it's weird that I'm a 16-year-old talking about veganism when, it's a lifestyle change, and I've only lived for 16 years, so how could I know anything about a lifestyle change? But it's been proved that half of all vegans in the world are between the ages 15 to 24 years old, which means that a lot of us are very young, and a lot of people think that you might not have enough experience when you are that young. But I believe that once you start realizing the true parts of the world and the true parts of the industry, that's when you start growing. And no matter how much experience you have as a vegan, once you start talking about it, I feel like you are debunking the stereotypes one by one. So, 2 months ago, I watched a documentary. And as most vegans do, when they become vegan, they watch these graphic documentaries or health-related documentaries. And I watched one that I think you've heard of it, one of the most heartbreaking ones. It's called Earthlings. And I do want to say, don't watch it, but at the same time, it's really showing the true parts of the world and the reality behind the industry. And so I watched it because I wanted to understand why why there could be cheap prices behind the meat packaging that have traveled from so far away. How could something be so cheap and cost so little, but still be worth so much? I mean, it used to be alive, right? So I was distressed, I felt hollow, I didn't really know what to do, but the only thing I could think of was, I need to make a change. And I'm young, and people don't really think that young people can make a difference, so what was I supposed to do? a lot of young people take a lot of their time to spend on social media, and so I figured I could do the same. And I started a website, and I posted recipes because I knew that also people thought that vegans could only eat lettuce and tomatoes. So I thought that if I could debunk that stereotype as well, maybe people would open their minds about vegan foods. And I started doing this in my community at school, where the first thing I did was send out a survey. And I had been surrounding myself with vegan friends and with open-minded people, so I wasn't really prepared for all the backlash I was about to face. I didn't really know that people had strong opinions against vegans and against some, it's a peaceful lifestyle. So I wasn't ready for the comments I was about to face. And so I tailored the questions on the survey very precisely because I knew that people would get mad at me, because once you say the word vegan, people instantly think that you're attacking their lifestyle because you're talking about how your lifestyle affects the world differently than theirs. And so the questions that I sent out were basically, how would it be difficult for you to change your lifestyle since you're only a teenager? And what do you eat right now? And what do you already know about veganism? Would you like to know more? And I was pretty shocked of the answers that I got. Some of the answers said, veganism is cultural cleansing, and I'll go vegan when meat grows on trees. And another person said that they'd never met a kind vegan before, that all of us were annoying and aggressive. So how does one advocate for something when everything is so, everyone already has these images of you? And people, I brought vegan food to school to share with people so that they would taste the delicious foods that we have. And I didn't mark it as vegan because if I did, no one would eat it because of these stereotypes. And I remember someone coming up to me and telling me how delicious the food was. And then I told them it was vegan, and their reaction was, ew. And they recently just told me it was delicious, so why would they do that? And how could teenagers go vegan if they only think that the food that vegans eat is disgusting? So once again, I started making recipes, and this is the website that I started. I also started a Facebook page so that people could write to Seedlings, so that they could tell us what problems they're facing, and so that we could help. And an Instagram. There we go, an Instagram page. Because I chose the main social media platforms that I thought could reach out and help people in their journey to become vegan. So I decided to take Instagram-worthy pictures, because that's how you get people's attentions, right? If you can't take nice pictures, then no one will want to see them, and no one will know what vegan food looks like. So now you're only getting my point of view of my journey and how people already have their views of teenagers and how they don't want to listen to teenagers because when a teenager goes vegan, they're suddenly rebellious and they're aggressive. And so I decided to interview some of my friends who, some of them were vegan and some of them weren't, and I made this video. So I asked my friends questions about their journey as vegans, and most of them answered that it was quite difficult because people didn't really believe in what they thought, and people didn't really believe in that they could actually do something. And so as I conclude my message here, I just want to challenge you to rethink what you think about teenagers. There are loads of teenage-led movements going on in the world, and they're making huge differences, and we are the future generation. So as you look at these pictures of us teenagers showing compassion, I just want to tell you how we are the future generation and how we can really make a difference. Yeah, so these are the handles that you could follow if you'd like to. Thank you.
Okay, and so do you think that it's easier to get your message across to teenagers or to adults? Like, as in, did your parents react better or worse than your friends at school, or?
Well, I surround myself with a lot of like artists, and usually they're open-minded. But I did face a lot of criticism from people in like at some that are my age, because they didn't really take it seriously. They didn't really think that I was, that I was doing something seriously. So their comments were basically, but bacon, and how are you going to get your protein? So they didn't really think that I was actually serious about this movement. But also, it's difficult for teenagers to go vegan because your parents, of course, they have to take care of you and maintain, and so that you can have a healthy lifestyle. And how are they supposed to be sure that you are healthy if they don't know anything about veganism? So that can be quite difficult too.
But your parents are actually really supportive?
Yeah,
or,
yeah. I was quite lucky because my mom made a lot of research, and so she knew that I could actually, stay healthy and get all the nutrients that I needed.
And you've managed to convince quite a few of your friends to go vegan, or do you see like the change in their view of the world and veganism as such?
Yeah, that's kind of difficult because a lot of people say that, oh, you're vegan, so you just want to preach your ideology and you just want to see the world change, which is true. I want the world to evolve, but also you don't want people to only think of you as that vegan person, as that person talking about their lifestyle all the time. But I did see, by being, a passive activist, by posting these pictures on social media, I did see that some of my friends actually started trying making these recipes that I posted, and so that was interesting and exciting.
And it says that it's a group of students. So how many people have you managed to bring into your movement?
Yeah, I gathered all of the vegans in our school, and we aren't that many, but I gathered all of us, and I managed to start this little club. We're still, working on it. We're not finished at all. We're nowhere near a finished website even, but I do believe that we will become larger, and like vegetarian friends joining, and suddenly they become vegan too, so that's fun.
But have your teachers been supportive as well, and have allowed you to sort of give speeches or talks or something in the context of school, or has it been next to your classes, like in the breaks and stuff like that?
I think that the first steps that we have to take as a group now are very small, because a lot of people, they get so offended because they think that you're attacking their lifestyle, like I mentioned before, just because you're saying that, oh, my lifestyle helps the environment, and they think that they have to do something. They feel guilty. So what we're doing right now is we're working towards having meetings during lunches where we talk about the environmental aspects of veganism and the health aspects, and so I think right now it's more of an after-school activity or a fun thing, but I think our main goals is to bring back meatless Mondays to school and those kind of things, so that we really show that one doesn't have to go vegan, but one can minimize their intake of meat, and that can actually make a lot of difference.
And so since you've started all this, is there more vegan food available at school, or is it still a bit iffy?
It's still a bit iffy. We have some vegan food, but I think that's something that the school could improve a lot too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Does anyone else have any questions? So the question was, where are you from and why did you become vegan?
I'm Swedish. I've been traveling a lot, and I recently moved here, but I became vegan about 6 months ago. Just like a lot of people, I watched a documentary about health, not the animal cruelty one, but I had been pescatarian for 2 years. So I haven't had meat for a long time, but I went vegan because I knew that I could go even further with my diet and lifestyle. Yeah.
Anyone else?
You mentioned for teenagers. I think teenage vegan must be special.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't vegan when I was a teenager, but because the fact is most teenagers, they get their food from their parents.
Yeah.
They're not independent.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends who were not so lucky?
Exactly.
Like, me, were 5 kids in my family. If I told my mom, hey mom, I'm vegan now, make something different with vegans, she would not have taken that very well. So, do you have any friends who've had any problems, and how do
Yeah.
you deal with that?
Um,
Teen problem, basically. It's a teen vegan.
Yeah. The video that I was supposed to show, a lot of them talked about how and I was also vegan secretly before telling my parents because I was afraid that they might think that I was doing something wrong because it's so controversial actually. So my friends, they went vegan during school and so did I. And so we would eat vegan at school and then we would go home and like try to eat vegan. Like one of my friends would make vegan foods for her parents and vegan meals, and they wouldn't know, and they would say, this is so good, and that's how she became vegan. But I know that a lot of vegans, teen vegans, have to go through a lot of like fights with their parents because their parents don't support it, just because of the fright of not getting all the nutrients that you need as your body's still growing. So yeah, it's for a lot of teenagers, it's a slow process because you have to go through all these mini steps to persuade people around you so that they think that it's an okay diet. Yep. Yeah.
So, what do you need to grow this movement in your club? And related to that, how can we help you?
Well, right now, the power of social media is very large. Like, just by, like, the first thing that happened when I started an Instagram page was that someone else started a page against us. Yeah, so they call themselves almost the same thing as me, and they just changed it and posted pictures of meat. So that, that really shows that like social media can be both good for a movement and bad. So I think that what the community here could do is just basically, you know,
Like her.
fight them. No, follow the pages because we work mostly in the school, so it's hard for outsiders to like help. I think a lot of it is gaining followers, and that's kind of sad, but that shows that if you have a lot of followers, then people take it more seriously. So that could be something, just followers. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you very much.